No matter how good you get, confidence is not guaranteed. In the modern age, it can seem like everyone overflows with confidence online, but in reality, confidence is a lot harder to come by. All of us want to possess that elusive quality, but how can we acquire it, and better yet, what true purpose can it have on one's life? Confidence is a quality we expect the greatest aces in Haikyuu to have. As to inspire your teammates, you need to have belief in your own abilities. That assumption gets laid to rest by Wakatsu Kiryū of Mujinazaka, a top 3 ace in the nation who has long since struggled to believe in himself, even when everyone around him does. On the outside, Kiryū exudes reliability, but on the inside, his worry of others holds him back. In a way, Kiryū deals with Imposter Syndrome, an elite player who doesn't consider himself one. Regardless, he has reached the top of the pyramid in terms of great players for his age. Kiryū's journey to finding confidence adds a crucial layer to Fukurodate's ace discussion, as Kiryū finds his own unique approach to being one of the very best characters we see in the series without having the self-belief most other monsters possess. Welcome to Annie Essays. Here we overanalyze anime and manga, with each video on the channel created under the belief that anime, same as film and literature, is worthy of in-depth criticism. If you enjoy my videos, then consider checking out my Patreon or YouTube membership. More information about benefits at the end of this video. We first learn about Kiryū at the Tokyo training camp, as he is suggested to be the 3rd best ace in the nation. Out of the top 5 aces, he is actually the last one we meet, with his match against Fukurodani coming at the quarterfinals of the national tournament. We are introduced to Kiryū through the lens of Bokuto. While not explicitly stated, it does feel like Kiryū currently occupies Bokuto's place in the top 3, so going into their match, we want Bokuto to win and take his place. Kiryū's mindset also feels way different from the rest of the top 5 aces we have met. Ushijima is coldly confident and focused. Eren has a similar level of comfortability in his skills. Sakusa doesn't seem to trust much around him except his own skill, and Bokuto is a force of internal belief. Kiryū, on the other hand, overthinks situations and his skill. Before the match begins, Kiryū is overthinking an exchange he had with Bokuto. His setter Usuri snaps him out of it in a moment that we will come to learn happens often, Kiryū getting down and his teammates lifting him up. Kiryū struggles to find confidence, and that is contrasting with a dominating presence on the court that has gained him the reputation as one of the very best in Japan, and we see that as the game starts and he hits over a triple block to score his first point. Kiryū is one of the most multifaceted characters in Haikyuu. All at once, he is the epitome of a reliable player, but also a player who thinks far more of his teammates than himself. But Kiryū isn't just reliable, but flat out one of the strongest forces we see. For readers, it takes all of one panel to understand that Kiryū is in a different class of player from the likes of an Asahi or an Iwaizumi. So how can something so obvious to the readers not be obvious to Kiryū himself? Imposter Syndrome. Imposter Syndrome was first acknowledged in the late 20th century and was initially attached to the healthcare sector, with women or marginalized groups feeling like they didn't meet the requirements of high-level jobs, even when they clearly did. In the decades that have followed, this term has made its way into pop culture, and while the strict definition leans into marginalized workers within the healthcare industry, I think this concept can be extremely helpful as a framework for analyzing stories. Kiryū plays volleyball at the highest level, yet he doesn't fully embrace his strength, and at times feels like a shadow of other elite players. Those who suffer from imposter syndrome respond in various ways: perfectionism, heroism, fear of failure, fear of success, and denial of competence, all of which capture Kiryū's attitude towards volleyball. Kiryū is a kind of hero and perfectionist. He pushes himself beyond others so he can live up to the title of ace. He forges his body into a weapon of spiking that can make up for the lack of quality in his teammates' sets. Even though he doesn't always see it, Kiryū covers up many of the holes on his team. Imposter syndrome creates a cycle, where even when you accomplish a task, you aren't able to feel the success, but internalize failure within it. You can imagine that Kiryū has been going through this cycle repeatedly through the years of playing volleyball, and that has resulted in a player who has the ability to actually adapt to any situation. Early in the match, we get Kiryu's backstory. In middle school, Kiryū was actually seen as the top ace in middle school, even above Ushijima. He carried his past team through the first round at Nationals, something his school hadn't done, and tells his teammates that he'll carry them all the way to the top. But reality sets in. The better teams he faced, the more they focused on him. Kiryū compares himself to Ushijima, and the two of them respond to this pressure very differently. Both get blocked over the course of the tournament, but Ushijima never stops trying to find a way through, adapting his approach and tooling the blocks. Kiryū presses, leading to wilder mistakes, and eventually not even attempting to spike the ball at all, instead giving the opposition a free ball. Kiryū runs away from the pressure of spiking every ball with confidence. He went into this tournament considered the best at his position, but fear of mistakes held him back from holding his head high. After the match, his setter tells him he's sorry for putting too much pressure on him, and that he could have relied on their other teammates even more. To this, Kiryū tells him to stop being sorry, that he wants to take on every spike he can, because that's what it means to be the ace. This response leads to the multifaceted layering of his character. Kiryū desperately wants to be considered the ace. He wants to take on the most difficult challenges, even if the fear of getting blocked scares him, even if deep down he doesn't fully trust in himself. Now Kiryū has transformed into the kind of player that can hit any set. Literally any of them. At multiple points throughout this game, he spikes sets that 99% of players would have left up for a free ball. He can go off one foot, or even has the quickness to anticipate leaky receives. Kiryū has the power to match anyone, but it's his balance that I think separates him from the great players to the elite. Kiryū's unique style of play shows how situation and mindset determine the strengths we choose to build up. Kiryū struggles to see the totality of his ability, and that mixed with his more quiet and thoughtful outlook means he doesn't demand a greater level of play from his teammates. So when they mess up an emergency set, Kiryū reacts accordingly and develops into a unique player to make up for the lack of skill of his teammates. If Kiryū had more confidence, maybe he would have been able to raise the play of his team by demanding more out of them, but at the same time, it's likely he wouldn't have found such a skill to change his play to match any situation. In fact, I think the version we see of Kiryū at Nationals has an argument to be the greatest embodiment of the ace's idea to smash every ball, as Kiryū literally has the strength to turn any set into a powerful hit. But Kiryū also isn't a one-trick pony. He has amazing defensive skills, and that is on full display throughout this match. Since middle school, Kiryū started to look up to players like Ushijima and Bokuto. What's interesting is that the entire nation thinks Kiryū is a better player than Bokuto, but the two of them see it differently. Bokuto doesn't care for comparisons and thinks of himself as one of one, while Kiryū envies that always looking ahead approach. Kiryū chases the mindset of these two in a way you would never anticipate just watching their play from the outside. A lot of Kiryū's character comes down to labels. People label him as one of the very best, yet he doesn't feel like it. So how can a person close the gap between their objective talent level and their internal understanding of that talent? I feel like there is this constant pressure for individuals to believe in themselves. We all want to stick it to the coaches or mentors who didn't see our potential. While I do think that sentiment is a good one, overflowing with internal confidence is not the only way to reach the limits of your potential. Players can reach greater heights if the people around them reinforce their talent. The value of positive reinforcement grows more pronounced year after year, and a character like Kiryū shows why. Kiryū overcomes his lack of confidence by leaning into it. While he fails to recognize his own strength, he trusts his teammates completely, and if his teammates tell him he is this good, then it must be true. He accepts that he doesn't consider himself a star, and that allows him to play within his means. For Kiryū, it is his confidence in his teammates and coaching that allows him to break free and continue playing at a higher level. To be honest, I don't think confidence is something you either have or you don't. As situations evolve, at times you'll have more or less confidence. Everything in life is situation dependent. Some days you feel good and others not as much. We should try to maximize maximize the good days, but understand that the bad will always come, no matter how much we try and prevent it. Kiryū accepting the praise of his skill allows him to play up to his abilities. In this match, Kiryū embodies the idea of positive reinforcement as arguably the greatest tool for one's personal growth. The thing I adore about sports manga and Haikyuu is how it shows various ways of making it to the same place. When you first start learning about volleyball, you think there's only one way to score, but within the seemingly straightforward task of hitting a volleyball, you find loads of different approaches to the game, physically and mentally. Kiryū didn't overcome his imposter syndrome, but learned to understand it and find ways of using it to his success. Is it really that bad of a thing for Kiryū to work hard to be able to help his teammates no matter the situation? Our innate responses to adversity are often the very thing we should lean into to reveal how we can succeed. The most confident players don't always have the most success, for the only thing that matters is focusing on the task at hand and doing everything in your power to positively affect the game. You will have off days. You will have moments where things seem too difficult to overcome. All that you can control is embracing who you are. You don't have to be a star and wow crowds to be great, and once Kiryū learns that, he is able to better see the value he has on the court. Over the course of this match, Kiryū takes a sizable step in his internal growth. Kiryū and Bokuto both play at an extremely high level throughout, scoring most of their attempts, but getting blocked a handful of times as well. Out of the two, Kiryū is the first one to impress the crowd, but soon enough, Bokuto gets into the groove and he has the entire audience cheering for him. In a way, this battle of aces is kind of a wash, as both prove they are two of the best players in Japan, but Fukurodani still comes out on top because Bokuto gets his teammates to rise to his level. It is no coincidence that both Akashi and Kiryū come to the realization that they are not a star in this match. No matter how much they wish to be, they don't have the same personality that Bokuto has. I think in some ways the abstract notion that we have to act or play a specific way is what causes this internal deception of self. Kiryū escapes self-doubt by getting swept up in the momentum of the match, by focusing on volleyball itself. Over the years and in this match, Kiryū has put a lot of pressure on himself. He fights through the pain because the momentum of the sport he loves. Kiryū is able to match Bokuto almost every step of the way, getting close to making a wicked receive on Bokuto's back row quick near the end of the third set. After the match is over, Kiryū and Bokuto have a poignant exchange, where Bokuto tells Kiryū to have his other teammates step up for him, even if it's too much to ask. Kiryū doesn't overthink it. He just agrees. Both Kiryū and Bokuto heavily relied on their teammates to raise them up. For Bokuto, it was his emo phases, and Kiryū his lack of confidence. Bokuto finds mental stability just a bit quicker than Kiryū, and because of that, he's able to take the match. What I love about Kiryū's character is how he shows the other side of imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome, in the way it's conveyed through Kiryū, is not something that needs to be fixed, but understood. Kiryū has forged himself into an ideal player in large part due to this need for perfection. If gone unchecked, this would have caused major issues for Kiryū, but with the right support system and a love of volleyball, Kiryū is able to mend the fence that separated his skill and trepidation to become a top player at the professional level. Kiryū doesn't fight like the other monsters in Haikyuu, but if there's anything that Fukurodani wants the readers to take away from this story, it is that the only way to find yourself at the top is to embrace your skill set and circumstances. For Kiryū, that is relying on his teammates' encouragement to keep his mindset focused until his skill is so apparent that he has no choice but to trust in it. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to give a big shout out to all my patrons and YouTube members. They are a huge reason I am able to keep making as many videos as I do. If you're interested in supporting me further, then consider checking out my Patreon. Through Patreon, you get access to this channel's Discord server where I host my monthly anime watch-alongs, your name at the end of every video, and exclusive channel updates. Thanks again for watching the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.